morning. I'm Andrea Motsinger with your WLDS News. Joining me are Matt Bolger with the weather and Rob Nielsen with the sports. For our top story today, the murder investigation of 6-year-old Jean-Benet Ramsey took a strange and embarrassing turn for officials Saturday when it was revealed a supermarket tabloid planned to publish autopsy photos of the beauty pageant winner. Officials in Boulder, Colorado said an internal investigation was undertaken to determine how the photos were leaked to the Florida-based Globe. The planned publication of the photos left the family of Jean-Benet stunned, and some local supermarkets said they would examine the tabloid before deciding to sell it. Now a story from our nation's capital. House Republicans are asking the Justice Department to investigate the secret taping of a cellular telephone call involving Speaker Newt Gingrich. The New York Times today printed excerpts from the transcript of the call, which it said was taped by people hostile to Gingrich and then given to a Democratic congressman. The Times says the conference call was picked up on a police scanner. The call suggests Gingrich was consulting allies on how to mount a counterattack against the ethics charges, despite his promise to the House Ethics Committee not to do so as part of the agreement settling the case. Taking a look at the international news, the Peruvian government has renewed talks with the leftist rebels who are holding 74 hostages in Lima in the hope of reaching a peaceful solution to the 24-day-old crisis. President Alberto Fujimori's negotiators spoke for 4 minutes today by walkie-talkie with guerrilla leaders and arranged a face-to-face meeting over the weekend. Today's developments broke a stalemate that has lasted since the last release of hostages on New Year's Day. The government still insists it will accept nothing short of the complete release of all the remaining captives at the besieged Japanese ambassador's residence. In other national news, an aide to Mother Teresa says the nun has virtually decided not to contest the post of Superior General of her Roman Catholic order, as hectic preparations are on for its election on February 2nd. The legendary nun founded her Calcutta-based Missionaries of Charity order in 1948 and has led since then with charisma. But her aide said frail health has made it increasingly difficult for her to run the order anymore. Now for local news. The fire that destroyed a Springville home early on December 26th was intentionally set, investigators say. The fire killed Sandra Keyes and their 2-year-old son. State Fire Marshal Roy Marshall said he couldn't say whether Sandra Keyes' husband Stephen, twice charged but never convicted of arson, is a suspect. Fires damaged their home in Marion on June 11th and November 6th, 1992. After Keyes' acquittal following the November fire, charges of arson and theft in connection with the June 1992 fire were dropped due to insufficient evidence. On a lighter note, Kyra Marie Lehman of Ely was Cedar Rapids' first baby of 1997. The baby's mother, Cheryl, was in bed on New Year's Eve when her water broke. She and her husband, Bill, drove from their home to St. Luke's Hospital, where labor started after midnight. Kyra was born just after 5 a.m. on January 1st. Fortunately, the Lehmans didn't run into any adverse weather on their way to the hospital.
Yeah, trying to make it to the hospital in bad weather with a baby on the way could be a little stressful.
Well, Matt, is it going to warm up at all this week?
Yes, Andrea, after 11 days below the freezing mark, things are finally looking up. On the national map, winter-like weather conditions will move out of the southwest today into Texas and Oklahoma. Cool Canadian air combined with the moist east flow from the Gulf will fuel an icy mixture in the southern plains. Here in the Midwest, high pressure ridging out from the Pacific Northwest into plains will bring a mostly sunny and seasonal day to the region. Winds will settle back to speeds of 10 to 20 miles per hour, but will remain from the northwest. High temperatures will range from the upper teens in Minnesota to the lower 30s in Missouri. In San Francisco, it will be sunny with a high of 58 and a low of 43. This should be a relief for the West Coast and help them recover from the floods they've been dealing with lately. Denver should have a high of 22 and a low of 5. They can expect partly cloudy skies in Chicago with a high of 22 and a low of 12. Down in Miami, it will be a total extreme from what it is here. They can expect partly cloudy skies with a high of 81 and a low of 66. Here in Iowa, we will have a high of 19 in Sioux City with a low of 14. It will reach 26 in Des Moines before dropping to 18. Iowa City can expect a high of 30 and a low of 16. In Waterloo, there will be a high of 30 and a low of 13. For the 5-day forecast, Tuesday looks partly cloudy with a mild wind out of the northwest. The high will be 25 and the low 8. Wednesday will be partly sunny and dry with a high of 26 and a low of 12. Thursday we can expect light snow. The high will be 21 and a low of 13. Friday will be partly cloudy with a high of 28 and a low of 18. On Saturday the snow flurries will return. The high will be 25 and the low 8.
Thanks, Matt. You're right, that is quite an improvement. Now let's find out what's going on in sports. Rob?
Thanks, Andrea. The big story today is the Dodgers put on the market for sale. Peter O'Malley, whose family has controlled the Dodgers since 1950, 7 years before they moved from Brooklyn to Los Angeles, surprised baseball Monday by announcing the team is for sale. The O'Malleys leave to baseball a rich and powerful legacy, Acting Commissioner Bud Selig said. I want to assure Dodger fans, Peter, and the team that we will work with them to keep the franchise in Los Angeles. The sale price could be more than $300 million, well above the current record for baseball team, the $173 million paid by the Peter Angelis Group for Baltimore in 1993. This week, the National Football Champions were named. The final AP poll came out and had the Florida Gators rated #1. The Iowa Hawks finished 18th ahead of Michigan and Notre Dame. In Iowa sports news, Troy Davis might have second thoughts if he plans on jumping from Iowa State to the NFL. If the updated projection made by ESPN Draft Analysis, Mel Kiper Jr. is correct. Kiper ranks Davis, a junior, as a number 34 prospect among this year's college crop in the top 60 list released this week. Davis was the 4th running back mentioned behind Florida State senior Warwick Dunn, Virginia senior Tiki Barber, and Washington junior Corey Dillon. At number 34, Davis would be an early second-round selection. Davis led the nation in rushing and all-purpose yardage the last 2 seasons at Iowa State. He's the first player in NCAA history to rush for 2,000 yards in consecutive seasons. This week, Iowa wrestling coach Dan Gable, still bothered by a damaged left hip, said on Thursday he'd like to have hip replacement surgery after this year's national duels. Gable, that and as yet to be diagnosed stomach ailment, is delaying surgery on his tender hip. Gable continues to coach the top-ranked Hawks, who are 5-0 in duels and won the Midlands title by 81 points over Edinburgh. Now for some college basketball scores from around the country. Number 1 Kansas walked away from number 8 Iowa State, 80-67. Number 13 Duke ran over unranked Campbell, 84-59. Number 19 Boston College beat Georgetown, 81-74. Number 22, Texas steamrolled Kansas State 104-63. Southwest Missouri State slid by Drake 87-82. And South Dakota fared fine against Morningside by beating them 91-80,